I have a couple announcements for you today about my winter plans and whether or not I'm attending the Cheap RV Living RTR or Rubber Tramp Rendezvous 2020. A lot of you have been asking me, and so I'm going to answer that question as well as make a couple of announcements in this video, so stay tuned.
There ain't nobody gonna do it for you. Got to mind your own.
Hi, I'm Carolyn, and welcome back to my life. I'm not saying RV life anymore because it is really about so much more than RVing, and people come here and then they get all upset when I do stuff that's not RVing. But in case you are new here, my channel is about my life as a 54-year-old single solo woman, backpacking, traveling, living in an RV, and just doing the things that I want to do in this part of my life after building a career and leaving the rat race of the Bay Area. And almost 4 years ago, just deciding that I didn't want to chase the American dream anymore, because for me it was a lie, and I just wanted to live my life my way. And the only way I could do that, in my opinion, well, at least at the time, one of my options for doing that was to live in an RV and travel the country, living in national forests and BLM lands and traveling every couple weeks, so that I could afford to do the things that I really love to do without paying mortgage or rent to store a bunch of stuff I didn't need. So that's it in a nutshell. So if you're still here, like I said, I have a couple of announcements, and yeah, there is something really cool behind me. I just got to a new camp, and I will be making a video about this because I just stumbled upon something pretty cool that I didn't know was here, and I'm going to be making a video about that. But for those of you who follow me on a consistent basis, you know my videos are on a delay, so it could be a month, 6 weeks before you see this video. But subscribe if you want to know what this is and where I am. All right. Okay, so every year since I've been on the road, I have attended the Cheap RV Living Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. In fact, the very first one I went to, I'd only been on the road a few months, was in Flagstaff, a rare summer one. And since I've been doing YouTube, I have gone to the RTR and I've hosted meetups so that I could meet my viewers. I've done speaking. I've done a boondocking seminar there the last 3 years, I think. And last year, not only did I attend the women's RTR, but I was also a volunteer on the advisory board. This year, however, I am not attending and I'm not participating at all. Not in the RTR or the women's RTR. Last year, I had already committed to speaking. I had already committed to being on the advisory board when I lost Capone. And I'm going to be honest with you, that was really hard. Losing Capone was really hard, but peopling and having to be on, a lot of you saw me cry because I was a mess. Literally, I was a mess at the RTR last year. I put on a brave face and went out and did the things that I had committed to doing and meeting all of you. But like I said, it was extremely difficult. I don't want to do that again this year. I just don't. I'm feeling a little even more like last year. I even shared more of the grief about Capone with you. I think I felt you were more invested in Capone since he'd been my sidekick since we came as a couple, right? We were a pair. And this year, though, I'm feeling a little more selfish about my grief. I'm not feeling like I want to be on. I'm not feeling like I want to share it. I'm feeling like this is just something, I'm kind of hoarding it. I'm honoring myself, I think, maybe a little bit more than I did last year, or at least I'm trying to, and honor my own process. And this one just threw me for a loop. Like I said, Capone was older. I knew he was going to go eventually. I never expected to get a brand new puppy and have to say goodbye to him within 2 months of having him. And it's throwing me for a loop, and I don't want to grieve out and open in the public. This is just something that I want to deal with my close personal friends on my own in my private life. So I don't want to go to the WRTR and the RTR this year and have to put on a brave face. And, and I know many of you are like, that's okay, you can cry. But, I don't want to cry on a bunch of, people that I don't know very well. I know that you are friendlies and you're kind and you're wonderful, but that's just something that I am not really all that comfortable with. So anyway, I also maybe feel like I want to give you a little bit of more information about Huck, because I've gotten I've seen a lot of people talking and asking about the breeder. So, without getting in too much of a big story, they were a backyard breeder, which I thought was a good thing. I realize now, I did a ton of research on the breed, on how to train him, on, how to help him adjust to RV life. I mean, I did a ton of research about the dog, about the breed, before I got him, before I picked him out, before I picked him up, the month that I was waiting for him. I was nose into videos and books and learning how to train this kind of dog. What I failed to do, because I was naive, didn't know any better, was do more research about breeding. In my mind, buying a dog from a professional breeder equaled puppy mill. I know now that's completely wrong. And in fact, backyard breeders are more prone to be puppy mills than professional AKC breeders. I also didn't want a full-bred dog, and they just come with a lot of problems with irresponsible breeding and everything, so I thought I was doing a good thing. Huck was from a family breeder. He wasn't a full breed. In fact, I paid hardly anything for him. What I paid for him was basically just their cost of raising him for the first 8 weeks of his life. And I don't know. When I went to pick him out, he was living naturally underneath a truck with his litter and his mom. I realize now, if I just really, really, a lot of red signs, a lot of red flags. I know that now. And so when I did contact the breeder that Huck was ill, they said, "Oh, wow, we've never had any problems before." I doubt it. I don't believe that. And then I said, "Well, you have this problem now." And I wasn't really going to drop him off, but I said, I want to return him to you. I wasn't asking for my money back. I didn't want my money back. I was devastated. I just wanted them to take responsibility and to see what they would say if I said I'm going to drop him off. And they said no. And they sent me this I said, "I want you to take him back." And I knew they wouldn't. And I was 400 miles away by then. I really honestly had no intention of taking him back. I was going to ride it out with him, but I wanted to see how they responded to that, to see if they would, if they indeed thought that there wasn't an issue, that I was imagining things or that I'd gotten bad advice, then they would have taken the dog back and they would have resold him, but they refused to take him back. So that's another clue, right? And so I said, "I think you should take him back. I want to return him to you." And she wrote me back this long legalese. "He is now your property. You took ownership as soon as you paid for him. We are no longer liable." I mean, literally like something she pulled off the internet, as if I had bought a lamp or a house from them. And I was mad at that point. I was really mad, and I threatened to report her to the local SPCA, which I tried to do. They said, "No, we don't do that here. Contact law enforcement." So I did end up reporting them. My concern, of course, is that they are continuing to breed sick puppies. And I'm going to keep an eye on Craigslist, and if they have another litter, I'm going to be posting warnings to potential buyers, because it's just devastating. Anybody should have to go through this, and it's devastating to the dogs that they are breeding sick dogs. So I know a lot of you have been curious about that, whether or not I contacted the breeder. I did, and what other repercussions there have been about breeding a sick dog. I now know better than that if I do go through a breeder again, and I think I will. Like I said in the other video, I consulted with vets and experts on dog stuff when Huck was going through this, trying to find answers that would take me in a direction other than the inevitable. And every vet and expert that I talked to said that I did the right thing. Buying a puppy was the right thing to do for my circumstances. I told everybody I live in an RV, I travel all the time, and they agreed with my thought process on that, which was I wanted to buy a puppy. The goal was to buy a puppy that was a blank slate. I realize now there's no such thing as a puppy with a blank slate. It all really depends on the breeding. But my thought was buy a puppy who is a blank slate so that I can groom him and train him to live this nomadic life. A new place every couple of weeks, living in a small space, learning how to ride in the RV, all of those things that I thought would be inhumane to an older dog who had already lived whatever traditional life they had lived, whether it was in a house or on the street, and then no matter how long they might have been in the SPCA, in a kennel. I thought trying to mold an older dog, make a dog conform to my lifestyle, who had already had a history of living a more traditional life, I thought was going to be the less humane thing to do than buying a puppy who I could train from day one to live in an RV. And every expert I talked to, every vet I talked to, agreed with that. And in fact, the vet who ended up being Huck's last vet suggested some breeds for me next time. One of the breeds that she thought might work really well for me is an Australian Shepherd. One of the things that she did say is that the combination of the Border Collie, I mean, not only, you know, just the brain neurological defect that he had, but she said also just the breed just wasn't a good match. She said the crossing, she said the Heeler and the Border Collie, she said they really shouldn't be bred. Those two dogs with the intelligence and the stubbornness of the Heeler. So we talked about, you know, my future, what, you know, if I were to get another dog, what kind of dog it might be. And I told her, you know, I want to hike, I want a backpack, and she thought a Australian Shepherd. So I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I will get another dog. This kind of broke my heart. It kind of broke me in some kind of really old ways, you know, old wounds, broken, wide open, you know, abandonment and loss and all of those things that kind of have been a theme in my life really came back and clobbered me on the head. But I as you can see, you know, I'm coming through it. I feel numb and raw. I'm not crying. I don't have the grief, the deep primal grief that I had with Capone. It's a different kind of grief. So I just thought a lot of you might be interested in that, and I'm sharing it because I think that I'm hoping that might help some of you as well, who might be thinking about going to a breeder or getting a puppy, or if you're living in an RV, why you might want to choose a breeder over a rescue. You know, both my other dogs, Capone and JT, were rescues. They came to me. I didn't choose them. They were rescues who were kind of literally dropped off in my lap, or they would have been euthanized. And so I've gone the rescue route in my traditional sticks and bricks life. I don't necessarily think the rescue route is right. The other thing about the rescue thing is you don't know what kind of dog you're getting. You don't know. I'm constantly exposed to new people, to dogs, to strangers, you know, RV parks and gatherings. I mean, you know, viewers who come up to me. I have to be really careful, and I want to be a responsible, thoughtful, mindful dog owner. I have to be really careful about the dog I choose because of all the different things that dog is going to be exposed to. And, you know, you never know with a rescue what their history is and what things they might show. You know, my dog JT had an aggressive streak, and I had to work on that constantly. An aggressive dog is not going to work well in my RV. And so that's another reason I chose a puppy. You know, I don't want to have to worry about those things. So I again, I hoped that with a puppy, I could train the puppy to be a good companion in my nomadic life. Okay, I hope that helps some of you who might be looking for a puppy, or even answer some of your questions I know about the breeder and whether or not they took responsibility. So I know that was kind of a sidetrack that I didn't necessarily think I was going to go too deeply into, and we're 11 minutes into this video. So my big news. Did I mention I have some big news? When I was going through all this with Huck, I just wanted to run away. I've said before that my old coping habits, thank God, are gone. They're part of my past. So I have learned that I need healthy things in my life to keep me excited and interested and motivated. I don't know. Those are the wrong words. I'm kind of babbling at this point. Anyway, I am not going to the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. Instead, I am going to New Zealand. Yeah, I'm going to go to New Zealand. In the height of my grief, I booked a trip to New Zealand. Literally, like, yeah, there were a lot of issues around that too. I booked it out of the wrong airport and didn't realize it until later. But anyway, that's all worked out. I am going to go to New Zealand for 3 weeks. I'm going to backpack. I've already got my backpacking trip planned. And I am also renting a camper van. And I'm going to be boondocking, but what they call freedom camping around the South Island in a camper van. So yeah, it's not, I don't really take vacations anymore. Everything is a working vacation. I will be making videos. Oh, that's the other thing. How many New Zealanders do I have who might be interested in a meetup? I was thinking that I might do a meet and greet or a meetup in New Zealand while I'm there, because I know just off the top of my head, remember seeing at least a handful of New Zealand viewers. So if I've seen a handful, I'm sure there probably are 10 times more who haven't mentioned that you're from New Zealand, or who watch and don't comment. So I'm thinking about Christchurch. I'm not going to give dates yet. I first want to gauge interest and to see if anybody is in New Zealand. Christchurch I thought would be central, a little easier for a lot of people maybe than Auckland, or not. So if you're in New Zealand and you want to do a meetup, you might be interested. This isn't a commitment, but this is something that you might be interested in. Leave a comment below that says hashtag NZ meetup, and I'll put hashtag NZ meetup. If you are in New Zealand or you plan on being in New Zealand, let's say sometime in the next 2 months, let's leave it at that, and you might want to do a meetup, let me know, and if I have enough people who are interested, I'll go ahead and schedule it and let you know. Probably I probably wouldn't give you much notice, to be honest with you. I'd probably give you like a week's notice, because again, I want to I need to, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna have to tell people eventually where I'm at. I'm going to be announcing a meetup, right? So I don't know. Well, first, let's just see if there's any interest. I might be getting a little ahead of myself. And I also want to say, I had planned on doing this video for a while, but I also want to say my heart and thought goes out to any New Zealanders or tourists who might have been affected by the volcano. I woke up to a text from a friend who was like, thank God you're not there yet. I would have been so worried. There was a volcano eruption on White Island, just off of the North Island of New Zealand, and a lot of tourists died. The volcano just erupted first time since the 70s, I think it was. And so my heart and my thoughts go out to anybody who may have been affected by that. It is truly tragic. There's so many tragedies in this world, but that's just kind of sad. All right, so I'm going to finish my walk. Just wanted to give you a quick update about stuff. I know I've been putting off announcing the RTR just because I've just not been really much in the mood to be on the camera. But I figure I need to let a lot of you know, because I don't know if this might change your plans. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for being with me. New Zealand, you're all going with me. Are you excited about seeing New Zealand with me? I am, and I might also bungee jump. We'll talk more about that later. I'm going to let you go. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you next time. Subscribe if you want to go to New Zealand with me, and if you want other stuff, just other fun stuff. I'll see you soon. In the meantime, be happy, be free, and be kind. Mwah. I'll see you soon.